Hello to everybody. In this Asia to Market quick video call, we are inviting Kitty Lai to talk about packaging and also brand design. Okay, so Kitty, you're a specialist on that area. You know quite a lot about Amazon sellers, and I have some questions for you. Okay.
Fantastic. It's lovely to be here.
Cool. Thanks to having you here. And the first question that I have, it's like, why is packaging important?
I mean, packaging is important because it's the first point of call when the customer sees your product or packaging in the store. That's the first interaction they get of your brand. And it only takes a few seconds for a customer to resonate with that packaging. And the packaging has to stand out. So if you don't have any brand recognition, if you don't have colors that would work well, if the messaging is wrong on the packaging, then the customer's going to go on to the next packaging and next product. So it is really important to get your brand essence and that experience across at the very first moment.
Okay, that's a good point. And I mean, based on what you said, which is like, the customer may see your packaging, they will quickly decide on, what's going on there, going to the next product. Now, if we take it into the Amazon world, right, where most of packagings are not displayed on the Amazon listing, right? Is that still important to have a packaging? Why?
Well, two things actually. You're going into a store already. You're going into Amazon, like walking into a physical store. They don't always have the packaging on show. They have the product. So again, the product packaging is important. So what you're calling out on the actual product itself, the product title, what it does, what if there's quantities inside a particular packaging, it's just as important as the outer packaging. So you have to remember everything that comes around a brand, it all works together. It has to be consistent. So whether it's just the product on the shelf, the packaging also has to marry up with the product as well. And not all products will have packaging. So it's really important when you go into the store, the whole branding, the colors, the tone of voice that you use, the whole experience, you go through the listing, you look at the images as well. That needs to match with your packaging, the branding, the tone of voice, and everything has to sync and be, it has to sort of resonate with the customer as well. And if things look disconnected, even through to your marketing, your social media, your email campaigns as well, if things don't connect together, then, customers, I think, they're not going to take you seriously. You're not going to look professional, and they're going to move on to the next product. So again, it is important, whether it has packaging or not, that listing is also important as well to get that brand across to the customer.
Now, this is a good point because you detail some things such as, things that are related to brands, right? Like, branding promises, colors, things that define it. Because you work with Amazon sellers, how many are actually ready on a branding spectrum, let's say, when they actually go to Amazon? Because I suppose that many of them, they don't even have a branding kit, let's say. Or they're not really thinking that much about it. They probably have like some graphic designer who put a logo together and some colors, but they may not have like a brand promise or something. How do you convince them that they need to use that? Because I suppose that you encounter sometimes some reluctant Amazon sellers, right? It's like, oh no, we just care about the listing, shipping, and then that's it. How would you turn these people into, either more sales or other aspects that they can use with the packaging?
Right. So firstly, about 85% of my clients come to me and they don't have a brand kit. And that's a very high percentage. A lot of them, like you said, they create a logo, they have a product, they go in straight into Amazon, start selling. Then they get a bit successful for, oh, actually, now I need to get the next product in. But then there's no brand. So, there's no, customer loyalty, firstly, because they can't see a brand. They want to see a website. They want to see everything else that comes it. But not having a brand kit is you're going to fail, because if you're going to grow a team and grow your brand, you need to have those things in place. So for example, if you outsource to a VA or outsource to a designer and then a website designer, they all have to understand what your brand is all about. What are the colors? What are the fonts you're using? And what is the message that you want to convey to your customers? And if it's not there, then you're going to have a very mixed messages. And a lot of my clients, that's exactly what they come to me. I need things fixed. I don't know what to do. Where can I start? And the first thing is get the brand kit ready. That is your brand Bible, I call it. This will tell you what you need to do. I mean, it's not everything. You can pack out a brand guidelines to however big you want, through to the style of the photography and everything. Even to the kind of models and the essence that you want to create for it. But essentially, you need to have that to start off with. And like I said, 85% start with nothing. They just think logo, that's it, we're good. We've got some colors. I think I like the colors, but color, there's psychology behind color. So it's not just, oh, I like that color, I think that will work. There has to be a lot of research behind it and prep work. And I think the fundamental thing is, and my advice to people that are looking to start out on Amazon, do not rush this part. Do not rush it. Think clearly about growing a brand, not just launching a product.
Now, I mean, I was laughing at some point because you said something, the photography, the actor, that's something that is, it applied to us, because sometimes, like, what type of actor or customer persona you have? It's like, well, any foreigner, it's because we work with some Chinese brands. Which I suppose that you have, like, manage some Chinese customers as well, because there are so many on Amazon. But how's the process? Because they're coming with a very raw background when they approach you. What are kind of like the toolkit, the brand tool, like step by step? What do you actually work with them through? I mean, what would be roughly speaking, because I suppose the process is long, but what's the thing that you work with the customers to start defining their brand kit?
Right. So my process is I have a brand questionnaire, and it's quite comprehensive. So I have to understand what the client, and their brand, what is it all about? So I have to define it for them. So if they don't have a brand kit as such, I define that through a questionnaire. So I'll ask them certain questions. What is your mission? What is the vision for your brand? What are your goals? Who are your target audience as well? And I will really hone down into what their target audience or customer are in terms of the demographics, what their hobbies are, and what they're really into. And I kind of really sort of hone down into their personality traits, their customers' personality traits, as well as then I look at the customers and the actual characteristics of the brand. So what is the brand? If that was a person and if it has a character, how am I going to define that? So I have 8 blocks in terms of how I define that. And it really depends on the brand. They all have different traits as well in terms of the tone of voice. How would they speak to a customer as well? If this brand was going to talk to just a female mum audience, how are we going to talk to them? There is a particular way you want to talk to them and target them, as opposed to a fun man.
The 8 blocks is like 1 block per type of customer persona. Is that how it works? Or
no. So my 8 block, I can't remember off the top of my head. I should do, but no, it goes into the brand. It will be like the brand. The 1 block would be the brand mood. So what is the type of mood? Is it serious? Is it fun? Then another one would be the actual personality. What kind of personality? It's friendly. It's then another one would be the tone of voice, how I'm going to talk to them. So I have 8 different blocks. I say 8. It really depends. It's from 4 to 8, really depending on the particular brand. But I hone down exactly what that brand is to shape the brand for the client. And then obviously I've talked about customer, and then it's the fonts and the colors and the logo design as well. So if they need me to unpick their logo or redesign it in a way, and often Amazon sellers would have brand registered it, they would have trademarked it, so they are really reluctant to change the logo. So that's a difficult piece for me to can I tweak it? Can I change something? And if they're reluctant and it doesn't work, it's really hard for me to help them, but I will do the best that I can. But often I have changed logos for some brands that have been registered, and it's like it's for the best, to be honest. You're growing a brand. And I've had an instance where one client had a brand name and the logo just for that one product they had. and it's tailored for it. I can't remember what it was like. Yeah,
Phone
it was a
charger.
particular. Yeah, so it was a medical product for a medical reason, and it worked for that. And then they wanted to expand into other areas. I thought, I can't do that. It's really hard. Let's take out let's take out a piece of that and rebrand it in a way that it will work. It can, and I said, well, it could become a sub brand of the main branding that we're going to, the new branding that we're going to create. It can be a brand of it. It's a hero product. We'll just call it that, but it can be the sub brand. So there are ways of getting around that. If you just have the one product and you think, oh no, now I don't want to sort of, create another brand or another company, it's trying to, so that's why I say it's important to think about when you're starting out, when you're creating your brand, what is it you want to do? Are you looking for growth? Are you looking to launch new products? And you have to have that in mind.
This is I mean, I have one question towards the graphic design. Sorry, not graphic design, but the logo itself, and then another one at which stage. So I'm gonna start first with at which stage they're actually coming to you, because you mentioned before that usually, or they seem like these Amazon sellers, they are more like, okay, let's start setting the phone charger, then we'll figure out the rest once we start selling, right? I suppose that's the logic. But they reach to you at some point. When is that point? What exactly did they realize that or what made them realize that they need to change? I mean, in which moment that they say, and I gotta go and talk to Kitty and start working on this? What's your perception about that moment? When exactly they're gonna reach out?
Right. So that's a very good question. And often it's because customers they're starting to lose sales. And then they're also starting to see, oh, there's another competitor. They're doing much better. They've got better branding. They market better. And that's when the client sort of goes, oh, I've got to do something now. I have to create a brand. And that's when they start to panic and think, I need to do something about it, because I was doing so well 2 years ago, but now there's 3 more competitors on the line and, they're catching up. So that's when they're thinking, actually, is my logo outdated? What do I need to do? Because, 2 years goes quick. You're in the business and you're doing other things. You're doing the PPC, the optimizing this, and then you're doing other things. And then you get caught up and it's like 2 years later, there's 3 more competitors. Now what do I have to do? And you want to stay ahead. That is what you want to do. You want to stay ahead with the trends, with the designs, with everything you're marketing. I mean, everything changes so quickly. And I've been in this Amazon space for like the last 5-6 years now. And I've seen everything from, it's going from trend, from AI to TikTok to other things. There were so many things that have been changing over the years. So this landscape, right? So if you're not up to date with anything, even design, don't get complacent with design. So, you will fail badly.
This is a good point. So I mean, they are brought to you, or they're coming over when they are already like in a dire situation. Rarely from the start. I can understand that sometimes they're more like, okay, I don't even know if the product's gonna work. So there's this kind of like chicken and egg situation. Now you deal with most sellers who want to sell on the West. But many of your customers are Chinese or Asian, or am I completely wrong?
My customers are mostly US based and UK based. I've only had one client, one in Singapore and one in India. But I work with the Western customers. But I work with anyone, to be honest, internationally. But yeah.
Okay, usually, I mean, we work with Chinese customers, but I mean, when coming to the logo part, sometimes like some companies, they probably have like some designers from Asia, and we start seeing that coming to the fonts and things that they use, they don't really match at all with the product that they are trying to sell. Like it's very evident. Do you I mean, in your case, your first approach would be to redesign the logo, right? When you see all the things, you need to kind of like start over again. And in that case, you take the whole you take the whole project, right? Like otherwise, it
Absolutely.
would not work. It was just there's nothing we can recycle here.
No, the first thing I would do is this. But I'll go, I'm a qualified designer. I graduated like 25 years ago. So for the design and things not in place, I'm quite OCD about things that aren't in place. So that is my nightmare. But that's why I'm here to help. And I love to make sure that the client, the customer, their brand is actually doing what it needs to do. I've worked in the retail space for a very long time, for over 15 years. So I've worked with actually brands in-house. So I understand the commercial side of things as well. So when I see small brands and they start off, I understand the whole chicken and egg thing. You want to test the market, you want to get going really and see. But if you've not gone too far down the line, it's fine. You haven't invested too much. But as you grow, you want to start taking things seriously. And obviously you do see that, like you see a lot of Chinese companies and brands that created, the names are like really weird. You can't even pronounce the names, and it's like, and to be honest, some of them are actually well designed. Some brands have actually taken the care to do that, but then a lot of them look like cookie cutters, right? They look very similar to each other. So yeah, and I shop on Amazon a lot, and I'm looking for a product. Oh, well, that looks like the same, but it's a different company, and that's the same product, and they're using the same imagery or very similar. And this is where you need to differentiate yourself with the brand.
I think at least on the listing, it's very complicated. I mean, if it would be pure listings, it's hard to tell. But now I think with the diversity of images and videos and things that happen through listing, it seems to be a little bit easier. Now, coming back to the packaging again, what do you see any trends about packaging for Amazon sellers? Is there something like, I mean, are they taking more, I don't know, green steps, let's say, or making more functional packagings? I mean, that you can still use. I mean, I suppose that everything goes depending on the brand, what they want to communicate, and then the packaging comes with it. But is there something that you've seen lately, like there's some sort of switch into this packaging world?
Right. So I would say there's always going to be trends in design, especially. There's trends in design. Simplicity is actually a lot of things that are going on. There's also the retro side of things, themed kind of trends as well. When it comes to packaging, there's been a huge shift towards sustainability. And that's one thing I talk about a lot. I've been doing it for 20 years, actually. I was being sustainable before they're actually talking about it now. But I think I've been using FSC accredited like papers, making sure that packaging isn't wasted. And this is the main thing that a lot of Amazon sellers need to focus about, is having eco-friendly materials, being sustainable, as in, do you actually need that extra packaging, that poly bag or something? Maybe the poly bag could be biodegradable, or maybe the box can be reused into something else, and or the customer can use it for something else. I've created some packaging that my client wanted, their products to come in this box, and then they want the customer to keep the box because it's so beautifully designed. You don't want to throw away boxes, and it's true. A lot of customers won't throw away nice boxes; they will reuse them and repurpose them. And I guess it's also being vocal about that as well. Like, we are using sustainable materials, we are using eco-friendly, fabrics or whatever you're using, papers. And also that can be part of the brand mission as well, like being sustainable, because there's a lot of clients and customers actually that need to that actually buy into that now. And if you're not doing that with your packaging, and again I say, not, it doesn't work for every product, but then you can still be thinking, how can I minimize the wastage, as well. So there's a trend in that side of things. It's going to be around for a long while actually, but I'm seeing more and more brands look into different ways of sending their products out. Some are made out of seaweed packaging. It dissolves, this plastic dissolves in water. So you're using something that's natural and it's been dissolved. And what I would say is, like, brown packaging, the craft packaging, it might look simple, but it's actually, if you start designing and looking at how you can use that, it doesn't have to be really basic. And I think people think, oh no, I've just got brown box. What can I do? There's so much you can do. You can make it look amazing, and you don't have to waste a lot of material. And I think that's, I mean, Amazon launched the SIOC program 2 years ago, and that's using owners using
What's
their
the
own brand.
the socially responsible?
SIOC, and I think it's send in owner's container.
Okay, okay,
So
okay,
that
okay, okay, okay.
so that means the brand owner will have a branded box, but
Yeah.
Amazon will send it out. You're not using Amazon packaging. You're using your own branded packaging. So basically, you're saving on using the Amazon box as well. You've got your own packaging. Yes, again, there will be a label that will be stuck onto it and then sent out, but you've got that brand recognition. You've got that brand trust, and some customers don't like the Amazon box. So you can save some cost there, and it's, again, it's building that brand experience for your customer. So yeah, there's a lot of things you can do.
What's the name of that program? So I didn't actually had it. SEO.
SIOC. So
SIOC.
send.
Okay, because I didn't hear about that, but I mean, if
I know it's like send in owner's container.
okay, okay, because I mean, I do buy a lot of. I mean, obviously, I buy a lot of things from Amazon, and I always found that Amazon wastes a lot of space, and with this kind of like fluffy paper that they put there. Usually, like, I mean, I think everybody has the same thing. Like sometimes you get a big box just for a product which is like a quarter of the size. Like, okay, it's kind of we spend a lot of air moving air here. But then you also mentioned about customer experience, which I in general, I would say that only 5% or maybe even less, 1% of people who build hardware products, they actually sit down with any random customer, shutting their mouth and seeing what they do with their product packaging and the whole thing. Like, I mean, literally doing user experience tests to the core of saying like, hey, listen, you just want to charge your phone, so here's a box, and then take it from there without saying anything and figuring out what they do with the packaging. The so I mean, they don't even do it with many of the products. I suppose that the packaging is kind of like, okay, it's just a box, just put it in. But do you think when a customer comes to you, you try to create the same packaging for also going retail, or you just try to develop a whole different thing? What do you think the experience should be quite similar, or online it's online, and then when it comes to retail it's just another, you need to redesign the whole thing?
I think it'd be the same thing, to be honest. I don't design specifically, oh, this is just an Amazon seller, they need Amazon packaging, and there's no style. It should still be the brand. It's whatever you think your brand is, and whether it has that extra unique touch or feel or finish, that's just your brand. It's what you want to invest into your own brand. So whether it's going to be selling on Amazon or in a store somewhere, I think it should be the same. So there's no differentiation. Obviously, if you're a luxury brand, that's different. But it's the same thing. It's just getting that same branded experience across any channel that you're going to sell over.
Good, interesting. Well, I mean, this was a really interesting talk. I mean, we spent this half an hour talking about this. Where can we contact you, Kitty? I mean, for those who are interested in like following up with the branding and the packaging.
But you can visit my website. It's mebranddesign.com. And if you want to get hold of me, it's just Kitty at mebranddesign.com. And I'm also on social media. You just Google kittylai.brand. You'll find me on LinkedIn or social media somewhere.
And you mentioned that you are in Prague in the Amazon convention. Are you actually taking part of another Amazon event soon?
I'm hoping to attend a couple in the coming weeks, actually. But yeah, the Prague one was great. I did a lightning talk about packaging, giving hacks and tips and stuff, and I think that went down pretty well. It's something. I mean, that's something I'm quite passionate about, is to help people understand and educate them about packaging, because it's important. It's your business, and you want to make sales, so you really think about the design and packaging, because If you're not, then those three other competitors are going to catch up, and you just need to sort of be ahead of everyone. That's what I say.
Interesting. Well, appreciate it for your time, and great talking to you. I learned a lot.
Okay, you're welcome. Thank you so much. It's been
Thank you.
a
Have a
pleasure.
great day. Bye bye.
Thanks. Bye.